Hey, Janice.
Hi, Anthony.
Today we're going to do a sort of a review talk. We're going to do the three best free do-it-yourself will softwares. So many folks ask me to be the executor of their will, and they're doing a do-it-yourself or DIY will. So I thought it would be useful to share some tips on how to maximize your chances to make a DIY or do-it-yourself will that will actually work. As you know, we generally advise to stay away from this, but there are some circumstances where it should be fine.
Sure. Today we'll discuss our methodology, freewill.com, doyourownwill.com, and rocketlawyer.com.
Okay, very good. Let's start with our methodology, meaning how we went about conducting our test or review. So basically, we're assuming that the will maker, we call them John Doe, is a solo ager, meaning unmarried with no children. We assume that John wants to make a super simple will. And again, we don't advise that you use software or DIY methods unless it's super simple. Anything beyond super simple, you really should just go with an attorney. And what we mean by super simple is he just wants everything he has divided into equal thirds. 1/3 to his friend, I think it was Jane, 1/3 to his other friend, Jack. I think it was Jack and Jill, I don't remember. and 1/3 to charity. And lastly, we assume that John will be hiring an attorney, not for the full, will preparation, but at least to supervise the signing of the will, because we really do not recommend you do this on your own. It's one of those things where even the slightest technical error could make an otherwise good will worthless. So, just spend the $200 or $300 to have an attorney supervise the signing to make sure that, if you were able to get that DIY will to be valid, it has to be signed properly. Otherwise, it's all for naught. Does that make sense?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, we've talked about that before, that just one little thing that's left off could just negate the entire will.
Absolutely. All right, let's jump into our number one, our first review and our top recommendation, freewill.com. So this is my top recommendation, so long as, and there's one caveat, so long as you're okay with just a ton of charitable solicitations. So the, what do you call it? I guess I would say the business model of freewill.com is that it was set up by a bunch of very, very, large charities.
Oh, interesting.
So they have money behind it, right? I actually don't remember, so I don't want to call out it. But these, large, well-known charities all came together to create this site. So it's very professional, it's very well developed, it's very well done. So all that is good for you as a user. But because, the whole point of this, the whole sort of reason why these charitable organizations did this is just in case you wanted to leave something to their charity in your will.
You know what? That is actually a brilliant business model.
Yeah. As long as you go in with your eyes wide open, and they don't hide this. It's clearly disclosed everywhere.
It's clear.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. It's okay.
So as long as you're cool with that, you're going to get a very high quality will, actually, at least within the methodology that we talked about. So yeah, as long as you're okay with sort of every third prompt, every next button you press, as you go through the process, there's going to be a reminder or a request. Hey, by the way, were you thinking about leaving something to your favorite charity?
Now, did you find that even though they were just suggesting this often, could you still move forward if you didn't want to do anything?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
It's not tacky at all. It's just persistent. Let's put it that way.
It's just a constant reminder that this is an option in addition to what Jane and Jill, your friends, are. Okay.
So to sum it up, my take on freewill.com. And I'm sorry, by the way, our reviews, it was not just me, also my trusted colleague, Maureen Pritchard, helped review everything, and just to have a second set of eyes. So we did have two experienced New York estate planning attorneys taking a look at this, and we kind of agreed on the rankings and the feedback. But Maureen and I agree that the wills themselves are very professional. There's no errors. They're nice. And the user experience as you go through preparing it is very slick, very modern, very just well done. If you're wondering why I'm mentioning these things, you'll see with the later entries. And the two major cons, as I mentioned, there's just going to be a bunch of charitable solicitations. But again, if you're okay with that, that's fine. And if you intend to make a charitable gift, you won't even notice it,
Right, because you're there for that reason.
And then the other con is that this is very minor, but they chose to have signature lines and initials on every page of your will. I'm not a fan of that. I think it causes more problems than it helps, but it's not fatal and it's not a big deal. But I generally stay away from that just because, what if you miss one page? Then that causes a problem.
Oh, yeah, true.
Okay, so the next, let's see, what's next here? Oh, do your own will. Is it doyourownwill.com? Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so it's kind of a long one.
Quite a long name. Yeah, a little long.
So doyourownwill.com is interesting. It is the only entry that is totally free. And what I mean by that is you don't even have to give an email address.
Oh.
There's no like privacy cost to it. You could just make a will. As I mentioned before, free will is not totally free. And it's free in terms of money. You don't have to put a credit card down, but you're paying with your...
You're giving them something.
You're giving them the opportunity to bombard you with charitable solicitations.
Yes. And you'll probably receive emails to that sort, I would imagine, down the road.
I don't know. I haven't received anything yet. I got the impression that they were pretty classy about it. I didn't think they would ban you. Yeah. But yeah, doyourownwill.com. Don't even have to do an email address unless you want to, save your progress or something like that. But if you're doing a super simple will, no need for any of that. It's just pretty straightforward.
Nice.
But my bottom line take from that is it's totally free. It's pretty good, but you kind of get what you pay for, as in most things in life.
Right.
And here, I'll tell you what that means. So yes, it's 100% free, no email, total privacy. And yes, the user experience design is pretty nice, but there was more than a few typos.
Oh, okay.
Now, none of these were substantive problems. They didn't alter the legal outcome of your will. But it's kind of unprofessional to have, his, her disagreement or, they when it should be an it kind of thing. It was not cool. It was not great. So you definitely get what you pay for. And one other con is that the burial instruction, they chose to have it within the will. And, a lot of people have done that in the past. I used to do that in the past before I got a little more seasoning.
Yeah.
The reason that's not great is because the reality is, people don't really look at the will until weeks.
It's
after
until
the
it's a
funeral.
little too late.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not like, grandma has passed in the hospital last night. Let's see what the will says. Most people think that's actually tacky to start because the will is associated with money, right? Yeah.
You don't want to be that family member that says, "Can we look at the will?"
Yeah. So people don't really look at the will until the burial has taken place, and actually maybe even a little bit of breathing time, like a week or so, has taken place. So if you then look at the will and say, "Oops, she wanted a funeral like this. We didn't know." Yeah.
Oops.
It's kind of a problem.
So back on the typos, when it was printed out at the end, I guess, did it come in a PDF, or is this something you could have changed or altered, or what you get? How did it come out at the end? What was the
You're so funny.
Result?
That's such a virtual paralegal question. Can I fix it? Can I solve that for you?
Can I fix it, or do you just get what you get?
No, that's a great question. It's PDF, so it is not changeable.
Oh, okay, interesting. So what you get that's generated. All right, interesting.
But like I said, it's non-fatal. It wouldn't, as far as I could, in my experience, none of those typos would have caused a problem with the probate court. It just doesn't feel great to have, typos in your will.
No, it would have, I know personally, it would have bothered me if I read through it and I'm like, wait, no, I'm a he and this is, or she, and then this is, it probably would have just bothered me, I guess. But like you said, it was free and I didn't have to give your email address, which is kind of a big deal right now. Yeah. If you don't want unsolicited emails down the road.
Totally agree. And that's why it definitely made the list as our sort of second entry behind freewill.com. And then the last free option is surprisingly from a popular, for-profit company, I guess you call it, rocketlawyer.com. Rocket Lawyer does a lot of things like incorporations, LLCs, and paid estate plans, but they do have a free option. I included the link in the description and the podcast notes if you need to, or in the blog post if you want to go check that out. Here's the bottom line on this one. Yes, you're getting associated with a pretty well-known sort of brand within the online software, legal online software marketplace. The con is, and I haven't experienced it yet, but you can't help get the feeling that you're going to get sold hard on upgrades. Like, oh, don't you want to upgrade to the paid real estate plan package? Oh, do you ever think about forming a corporation? We can do that for you too. Oh, it feels like you're going to get bombarded with upsells. Do you know what an upsell means, right, Janice?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. It's like, we're going to give you this, but if you want the full extra bells and whistles for $19.99 or, whatever it is, click here. I feel like it's like that with a lot of websites. Like, even if you build a website and you could build a free website, but wait.
So the total, it's the kind of sneaky version of a freemium model, where they purport to give you a free version of the product, but it's always with an eye to getting you to upgrade to the paid version. Yeah.
Right. Or even an app, you get the apps now, and there's an ad every few minutes. If you want to get rid of these ads, that'll be $9.99.
What kind of apps are you talking about? Like video games or?
No, okay, maybe.
Cool.
But yeah, any of the apps and like the app stores and stuff, they're all doing that now.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes,
very true.
The upsells, hey, that's how they make their money.
The in-app purchases.
Yes.
All right. So the pro is for the Rocket Lawyer version is that, it's a big name in the legal DIY sort of space. And you may already have an account with them. You may be familiar with their user interface. It may be very comfortable for you. If those things apply, awesome. It may be right for you. There's a pretty big con, however. Not only the fact that you feel like you're about to get upsold like crazy. That matters to me a lot. But this is the only free will that had substantive errors in it.
Oh, like substantive. Okay.
Yeah. So remember, in our methodology, John Doe wants to leave his estate in equal thirds to his friends Jack, Jill, and to a charity. But unfortunately, the Rocket Lawyer will produced basically treated the charity as an individual, which could actually cause problems when it comes down to probating this will. So that's not great.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah. Also, I was not able to find, it doesn't mean that they don't have it, but I wasn't able to find easily the healthcare documents that would come with your free will, such as your do not resuscitate instructions, your living will, your burial instructions. I wasn't able to find that option with the Rocket Lawyer option. That was very easily accessible with the other two options. So
maybe that was hidden in there with that extra something somewhere.
Very great point. It could be something that they try to upsell you on. You're right.
Yeah. Like if you want the full healthcare docs, that could definitely be in there. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So that's all I have. Those three options all, could do the job. But ultimately my recommendation is the freewill.com option. And if you, really, really treasure your privacy, then the doyourownwill.com is a solid choice as well.
Nice. And, it's interesting that, so I've done research for you before when we've talked about this, and I clicked on a link on Facebook or Instagram, one of those where it says, do your own will. So I clicked on there and go through it, but be warned that once you click on just one of the do-it-yourself will softwares on one of those platforms, your every other ad will be one of those. I'm still dealing with that from the research months ago. Every few ads, it's like, do you still need a will? Click here. So I'd recommend probably going directly to the site and not the way that I did it. Yeah, months later still. But if you want to read more, I definitely check out Anthony's book, The Solo Ager Estate Plan, available on Amazon. It has lots more information and digs into this a little bit.
Very good. Yeah, this is something we are recording this really for the benefit of our solo Ager clients because it seems to be coming up a lot lately. So just thought we would put this out there and hopefully help. All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening. Janice, thank you as always, and we will talk next time.
Talk soon.
Bye now.